As I now made over 3 movie reviews that received pretty well, this will be the very first time that I will be ever talking about a series. And I'm not taking The Amazing Digital Circus as a series, but I guess now it is on Netflix, so it kind of is a series now. Now, the show that we will be spotlighting today is a show that is literally called The 8 Show. Now, I won't really be surprised if you never heard about The 8 Show before. How I came to this show is pretty funny. As for one of the most booming Netflix shows on the moment that we all know is Squid Game, I watched the entire series 2 times, and when I was done watching Squid Game for the second time, all I wanted was more Squid Game. More Korean shows, more series that leads with lots and lots of lore, but instead that I will be waiting until the 27th of June for season 3 to come out, I was trying to look for a show that I would like as much as Squid Game, and also not to be a ripoff. So Netflix started recommending me shows such as Alice in Borderland, All of Us Are Dead, and of course The 8 Show. The 8 Show is about a group of, you guessed it, 8 people. Now in the very beginning when I watched The 8 Show, I just thought it was a straight up ripoff from Squid Game. And then later on I just learned that The 8 Show is just very inspired by Squid Game. It also is about a game show, and the reason why some people ended up here is of the same reason why Gion ended up in the Squid Games. The game show is kinda like Squid Game, but instead that you have a very spreaded story where things are very questionable, The 8 Show is a lot more simpler in my eyes. It isn't too spread out and the plot is also really good. And as I continued watching The 8 Show, it turned out to be just a very inspired by show. Now they have some things in The 8 Show which is the exact same as in Squid Game, but besides that it was honestly really good. So let's get into the series by answering the first question, which is, what is The 8 Show? So The 8 Show is about 8 people who go in a sort of game show, which sounds a bit stupid at first, but before we will be talking any further about the game show itself, let us introduce to the people in this show. Which is funny is that through the entire show you literally just see the interaction of 8 people, instead of 456 people like in Squid Game. And in the very first episode of The 8 Show, we get to see one of the 8 people from The 8 Show, their lifestyle. Now I can't really remember what his name was, they probably said it somewhere in the show, but for now we'll call this guy the 3rd floor. And why we call him that is something you'll see later. In the first episode we get to see the 3rd floor doing multiple jobs in order to save enough money so he could pay off his debt, which is about 900 million won, which in American dollars it makes about $600,000. And instead that he would live for the rest of his life to pay off all of his debt, he decided to take it to the easy way by jumping off a bridge to not exist anymore. Until at that moment he gets a random text from an unknown number, which every time that number sent him a text he would receive about 1 million won. Suddenly he got messaged to get into a limousine, and that limousine would get him to the unknown building. And to tell this already, this is the building where all the magic would happen. Oh yeah, and why was everything squared up in the beginning? I don't know. Once he gets inside the building, he sees a bunch of cards between 1 to 8. But there are already a few missing. The kind of card he will be picking does have influence on the game. He decides to pick the card with the number 3 on it, and it turned out to be the card for a room on the 3rd floor. This is the room where he will be living through the entire show. Meanwhile, he puts all of his stuff away and needs to dress this specific costume also through the entire show. Which, by the way, I also think is something inspired by Squid Game. Because of course in the Squid Games everyone is wearing blue clothing. Now before we see the show begin, we see a screen where you see the number 30,000. This is the amount of money he has at the moment, and every minute that passes by he will get another 30,000. Not only is this for him, since there are 8 people in the 8 Show, there are about 8 floors, and every floor slash room gets a different price compared which floor you'll be staying in. While the first floor only gets around 10,000 won per minute, which is about $6, the highest floor, or floor 8, gets around 340,000 won, which is about $233 every single minute. Now, once the game or show, however you like to call it, starts for real, the 3rd floor gets to meet all of the other 7 people who will be spending them time with them. Now, a fun fact about this series is that the show is called The 8 Show. That has 8 people in it, and this series also have about 8 episodes. And a fun fact about this is that every single episode we get to see one of the 8 people who are getting in this place, and sometimes we also get to see why they go to the 8 show, but mostly it is of the same reason, which is money. Now, how does the 8 show actually work? As I told before, everyone who is spending the time in the 8 show has their own room, and every minute that they stay here, they will get a prize. But then, how long can you stay in the show? Is there a time limit, and do they know the time, or are they just stuck here forever? Well, this is how it works. You see, outside their rooms, there is a sort of playground where you have slides, ice cream machines, water pools, whatever you want to name it. And next to the playground, there is a huge screen with a time. This is the time of how long they have until the show will end, which is exactly 24 hours. But what if you want to stay longer because you feel like you won't have enough money by the end of the day? And is it even possible to get more time? Well, you kind of can. For all of the 8 people that are in the 8 show, they are constantly watched by every move they do. Whether they are in their room or at the playgrounds, the people who are constantly watching them, for them, they are watching a show. And when they feel like they are entertained with the content that they receive, they reward them by giving them more time. A fun fact about this is that in the beginning, they had no idea how to create extra time. There was one girl from the 8 show that claims to make extra time. She thought that she had to run and off the stairs in order to earn more time. Later on, it just turned out not to be the case, and that is kind of how the whole show is about. About time, the money, and of course the game show. Now, from what I told about the 8 show, this is mostly what the show is about. When it is about what happens is something you should watch yourself. So to let you know, no, you are not spoiled. And yeah, that is the 8 show. So far, this was all I had to say. Now, my goal for this video wasn't really trying to defend the 8 show by saying why it is not a copycat of Squid Game. It's just when Netflix started recommending me shows like this, it is for me actually crazy how much I enjoy these Asian Korean shows. I mean, what Asia on the internet makes popular is the lack amount of anime that they made. And when it comes to anime, I can understand why it's a very popular thing, but anime isn't really for me. I mean, I tried watching it, but there is just something about it that makes me that I don't really enjoy it. Maybe I can make a video about it. Well, anyways, that was it for this video. I know this might felt a little short, but I hope you guys still enjoyed it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you in fact enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the channel, and then I'll talk to y'all later. Bye bye.